Alright guys, we're going to do another 5-minute function. This one actually is going to be a draw function, something that will run at a consistent timing. So hopefully we can get the function done in 5 minutes, but exploring and actually testing it is probably going to put us past 5 minutes for the whole video. So let's get started. First thing that I want to do is create the actual loop. So I'm going to call it, let's say, inner loop. So inner loop, and that's going to run right away. So let's just run inner loop, and that will start it right away. So in inner loop, what we're going to do is create a few things. So we're going to create some variables. We'll say var delta time, set that equal to 0, and then we're going to have last time, and that's also 0. Next thing I'm going to have is our we'll call it main loop. We'll say function main loop, and this actually, let's just call this start. Yeah, let's call it start. And since it's in here, it won't affect any outer scope stuff. And then in here, we'll call this loop. Okay, and it's going to have a time variable there. First thing I want to do is run loop. So we'll say request animation frame, and we're going to pass in loop here. And animation frame actually automatically sends a time in. So next thing that we're going to do is check some thingamajigs. So one thing I want is to have a window.fps. Now let's just say FPS. Var FPS is equal to, and then let's just put it to 30. And so our default frames per second will be 30. And what we can do is we can say if, oh well, we want to do some updates. So we'll say now delta time plus equals time minus last time. Okay, then we set last time equal to time so that it's updated. So we'll say if, and then we'll say delta time, let's say if it's greater than 2 times 1000 divided by FPS. So if it's greater than that, let's just set delta time equal to 0. And then that way we won't have any problems. Actually, we'll set it equal to 1000 divided by FPS. And for this, the reason for this is so if we do leave the screen or the values get too big, it just doesn't, it'll cause problems. So the next thing we do is say if delta time, I need to spell right, delta, if delta time is greater than 1000, let's say greater than or equal to 1000 divided by FPS, then we can run our draw. So what we'll do is say if draw, or window.draw, if window.draw, then we will call window.draw, and let's even pass, we don't pass anything in, we'll just call it. And then we will reset delta time to minus equal 1000 divided by FPS. That will reset it, and it should, then we call this one more time inside of here, and we should have a reliable, possibly reliable loop that starts. So we start here, we're getting this, blah blah, it should be ready to go. So to test it, we will see if we have errors here. And then function, let's say draw, and then in it, let's have it just, let's have it console.log date-.now. So what happens, bam. Because that's already running, it's going to continue to run this loop, and it runs at the FPS. So the next thing that we could do is create a function window dot set FPS to the function, passing in a value, and then we can say var FPS is equal to parse integer value. Now we should be able to set FPS equal to, let's say 2 frames a second. Okay, and then now we can create a draw function draw, and it will console.log date.now as well. Bam. Now it's running at 2 frames a second. There we are. That was actually fairly quick, fairly easy. And now this runs, if you create a draw function, it will run that draw function automatically. So, and to show you that, we could go here. Script, and now we could have our draw function. So var x equals 0, and then we could have our function draw and x plus plus, and then console.log x, and if we run this, there we are. Just going to continue to increase it. So we've already got a reliable draw function, something that we can have things move around, we can change stuff. Next thing, let's start doing stuff with a canvas. Let's get canvas in here, make it easy to create a canvas without all of the hard work, you know, getting the context and all that. We'll do create canvas, and maybe from there we'll do like how to get the context and all that kind of stuff, or maybe we'll start, you know, making drawing to a canvas a little bit easier. I will see you guys in the next video.